Hey, you thought you could escape under Chara's name, Underlab? Well, let me tell you this. Nothing will stop me from making you atone for your sin. This sin is making a video poorly justifying your genocide. Don't think escaping will be that easy, kid. Before a little bout begins, editor, hit it! Alright, so to give y'all beyond the screen context, about 7 years ago now, Underlabs made a video about how they believe the genocide route of Undertale is justified. For those of you not in the know, the genocide route of Undertale is widely seen as unethical across the fan base. So you can probably imagine this video was a bit weird for some people. I only have an issue with his reasoning, and you'll kinda see that in the video. With all of that out the way, let's get into this. But no point was made.
Firstly, let's start by putting ourselves into the human shoes. I've heard some players say that you're not truly playing as Frisk unless you're on the pacifist run. I'll leave that to you to decide. For now, let's just pretend we're the human who has fallen down and has to escape the ruins. Things seem pleasant enough, but our very first encounter is with a deranged flower that attempts to kill us. Talk about a bad first impression. Thankfully, Toriel soon rushes to our aid. I know what you're already thinking. I'm going to have a hard time, or let's just say a bad time, trying to justify why there's a fairly good reason for killing Toriel. Well, you're not wrong, but we'll get to that. Toriel literally holds our hand for a time within the ruins, and her presence trivializes anything that could oppose the threat. The moment she disappears, however, monsters emerge in the dozens and attempt to kill us. You could argue that they're misguided or afraid of you, but that doesn't change the fact that they can reduce your health to 0 and force you to restart. Remember, most monsters don't know that a very determined human is capable of that. For all they know, they just killed you. I really don't think it's unfair to argue that you're justified in killing random monsters in the name of self-defense.
Wait, so you're saying, as long as someone can kill me, I have the right to kill them in self-defense? Okay. What's that look for? You said I can kill someone as long as they can kill me. Also, apologies for playing out that clip for so long. I just wanted you to have context for my first interjection. Alright, to actually argue your point here, while yes, if a monster attacks you first, you are entitled to defend yourself, but there is literal proof that Frisk can start fights themselves. Like for example, when Asgore was trying to talk to you at the end of the genocide route, it's implied that Frisk started a fight with him. Or what about Nastablook, where the game literally asks you do you want to move him by force or not? This literally proves that Frisk could be starting some of these fights themselves. Not to mention, on genocide, you have to keep killing until nobody came. And this only happens when you stick around the area and fight all the extra monsters. Yeah, extra monsters, meaning monsters that you didn't even have to fight unless you stuck around and killed them. Combine that with the evidence I shown previously, and we have a case that Frisk started some of these fights. While yes, you do acknowledge that not every instance of killing a monster is justified, I have a problem with that statement in and of itself, as you'll see in a minute.
Sure, most of them are easy enough to placate, but why are they attacking you in the first place? Well, we'll get to that a little later. Now, I will admit it's a little harder to argue as to why that then justifies hunting them down and killing every single random monster you can. They always seem to attack you first, however. Maybe you just wanted to wander aimlessly around the ruins for a few hours, but the monsters have other ideas. Still, perhaps we should look at this as less why complete genocide is justified and instead more why killing every monster you come across is.
Yay, clickbait. Also, throughout this video, you keep implying that every monster in the area attacked you first, which I already explained is probably not the case. So I'll just skip over every time you say killing a random monster is justified.
Finally, we reach Toriel's home. It seems like we'll finally get to enjoy a bit of peace and quiet, as a lovely goat monster restocks us and sends us on our way. Or not, apparently. Instead, she decides she's going to destroy the exit to the ruins in order to ensure you can never leave. Now, don't get me wrong, I know she does this because she wants to protect you. However, it's still an incredibly extreme thing to do. If we allowed her to succeed, we'd be stuck in the ruins forever. A place which seems to be quite lackluster and claustrophobic, unable to ever see our friends and family, if we have any, on the surface again. We as players know that by repeatedly sparing her, she'll let us pass without having to kill her. Though how would the human know this? If you attempt to talk to her, you realise you can't think of anything to say. Therefore, I interpret sparing her repeatedly as simply refusing to fight until she gives up. If I was in that situation with a monster who had just admitted they were trying to prevent me from ever escaping and was then throwing fireballs at me, of course I'd fight back, and I think many other people would as well. This is why a lot of people end up accidentally killing Toriel on their first playthrough. They simply don't realise that it's possible to spare her. Therefore, once again, it's self-defense.
You know what? Fair enough. I can confirm that the game isn't really clear about how you spare Toriel. And even with Toriel's intentions, it doesn't really justify her trapping you in the ruins. Because you saying Frisk would not have known how to spare Toriel because the game didn't present this information to them will be relevant later. Also, how did you get your act button back? You know what? Never mind. Just give it here. But no point was made.
Instead, you come across Papyrus. Now, he's far from the worst, as he only wants to capture you. Fair enough in some respects. Think about it though, if Papyrus wasn't so incompetent, he'd put you in a jail cell that you couldn't escape from when he beats you. If we allowed that to happen, Undyne would soon show up and take you to Asgore in order to kill you and take your soul. While that's not what happens, remember, Papyrus's inadequacy is the only thing preventing it. Being defeated by Papyrus under these conditions is just a delayed death sentence. In this case, why shouldn't I fight back? Sure, he may let you pass if you lose them 3 times, but even then, he's clobbered you likely quite painfully with his bone attacks by now. That's hardly very polite of him.
Underlab, my guy. That's not what happened. Sure, it happened on neutral route or pacifist, but not on the genocide route. You know what? Let me play the clip for y'all for context.
Halt, human! Hey, quit moving while I'm talking to you! I, the Great Papyrus, have some things to say. First, you're a freaking weirdo. Not only do you not like puzzles, but the way you shamble about from place to place, the way your hands are always covered in dusty powder, it feels like your life is going down a dangerous path. However, I, Papyrus, see great potential in you. Everyone can be a great person if they try. And me, I hardly have to try at all! Hey, quit moving! This is exactly what I'm talking about. Human, I think you are in need of guidance. Someone needs to keep you on the straight and narrow. But worry not, I, Papyrus, will gladly be your friend and tutor. I will turn your life right around. I see you are approaching. Are you offering a hug of acceptance? Wowie! My lessons are already working! I, Papyrus, welcome you with open arms.
So not only Frisk was the one that approached Papyrus, Papyrus was just trying to help Frisk change their ways. Also, for some reason, you bringing up the neutral and pacifist route instead of the genocide route will be a reoccurring thing. But no point was made.
Undyne, who seems to think she's a hero for trying to stop you, the same human who has been assaulted by monsters time and time again. She may have more of a reason for it if you've killed every monster up until now, but that hardly changes the fact that she attacks you regardless of what you've done. Just like every other monster, Undyne wants you dead, and in my opinion, fighting back when you're having literal spears thrown at you is hardly unjust.
You know, I just love the fact that you literally just said Undyne would have had better justification to kill you if you killed every monster to this point. You know, it's not like we're on the genocide route where we did kill every monster up until this point. Also, you just throw it out there and don't mention said reason or actually try to debunk it. Also, I love the fact that you didn't even show how this encounter happened. And said encounter really debunks your point here. Basically, Monster Kid found out you were the one killing everyone in the area, so they wanted to block you off. You attacked them, and then Undyne took the blow for them. So not only you were trying to attack another monster, you attacked Undyne first. Well yes, Undyne did attack you 2 times during Waterfall. I can argue in this situation that you provoked her, and like I said before, you attacked her first, so she's justifying self-defense in this scenario.
On to Hotland, and we're denied the opportunity to kill Alphys. Alphys is one of the least offenders, though even she has done some extremely questionable things. Her experiments within the true laboratory border on sick pseudoscience, and the devious puzzles she's made using technology could get someone seriously hurt. Let's not forget the multicolored tile puzzle full of piranhas that she made. Oh, and she also made a killer robot. Maybe someone should stop her before she develops an atom bomb as well.
Honestly, I do not know where to start with this. Firstly, like you said, we don't fight Alphys, so what's the point in talking about her? Secondly, there is literally an elevator in Hotlands that takes you to pretty much any area, well, in Hotlands. So, any monster could just take that elevator and avoid the traps. Thirdly, and more importantly, all the other stuff you said is something that Genocide Frisk wouldn't even know about. The True Lab is literally a bathroom to you on Genocide. Papyrus doesn't even explain to you what the tile game is, and you don't even play it for the rest of this route. And the only hint that Mettaton was a killer robot is that he used to be a human extermination bot, which just means that he was made to kill humans and not that he does. And my final problem with this is that all of this is from the pacifist route or a neutral run. This is kind of where your tutorial point comes back into play here, because you don't really define what's player knowledge. Like, how is tutorial player knowledge, but this isn't? Remember, we are playing as Frisk here. Like, that's kind of another problem with this video. You don't really outline what Frisk does and doesn't know. So now I don't even know if this is wrong for Frisk to know or not. Because if Frisk didn't go on a neutral or pacifist route before this, then it wouldn't make sense for them to know this information. If they did, then it would make sense for them to know, but then why they go on Genocide if they knew how to spare and flee from everyone? Either way, it's on you for setting boundaries, so I'm not questioning some of these sections in the video because you aren't transparent.
Take a brief moment to talk about Muffet. Like all the other monsters, she attacks us unprovoked, but that's not her only crime. She sells confectionaries at an extortionate price. Now remember, in the underground, food is essentially healthcare. I don't see any hospitals around, so Muffet is essentially the equivalent of someone charging an unaffordable price for medicine. That's pretty hard to justify.
Alright, so you had me, but then you lost me. While yes, your self-defense point is fine, your last point is just weird. It's not like the monsters have to buy from Muffet. There are other places they can go to. The shops that Frisk can visit up to this point are the shop in Snowden, Grillby's, which is a bar and grill, and the Turtle Guy in Waterfall, which, oh look, price is that cheaper than Muffet's. And you stole $7.29 from the cash register at the Snowden shop, implying at least one item from there is cheaper than Muffet's. And at the entrance of Hotlands, you can find River Person, which can take you to any of the 3 areas. So tell me, with such quick transportation and availability of cheaper items, why wouldn't it look like the Frisk that Muffet's just shooting herself in the foot by charging so much for her food? Even then, that doesn't really answer the question on why we should kill her. I know you pair this with self-defense, but the extra point should make me feel even more convinced that we should kill Muffet on Genocide, and not make me question whether you hate the US healthcare system.
Mettaton was originally created to destroy humans. While he may now be an entertainer and a show star, he's still something of a sociopath, willing to kill you simply for believing you have a chance at making it past Asgore. You've made it as far as you have, so why doubt you now? Sure, Mettaton has better justification for attacking you on the genocide path, but otherwise he's once again just like every other monster, trying to kill us for no good reason.
I love in the same breath that you said Mettaton had a more justifiable reason for trying to kill you on Genocide when, again, we are on Genocide, but this is worse than Undyne's because then after that you said he still is killing you for no good reason, with like no further elaboration. Snazzy. Also, where in Genocide did Mettaton present himself as a sociopath? Because when you visit Alfie's lab for the first time, Mettaton just basically taunts you that Alfie's already evacuated most of the monsters, then left shortly after. And at the end of Hotlands, he just says he's gonna fight you in order to stop you from killing everyone to protect them. Where in there did Mettaton present himself as a psychopath? Also, nowhere did Mettaton state that he was attacking you because he thinks you couldn't get past Asgore. So again, I would appreciate it if you focus on Genocide and not the other 2 routes.
We come to the corridor of judgment to be judged for our sins. While the game clearly disagrees with me as Sans can now deal comic retribution damage to us, I have to question just what exactly is Sans judging us for killing monsters who all attempted to kill us first. It'd be a bit different if those same monsters had only been trying to avoid us, but it seems each and every single one of them wanted us dead. In all fairness to Sans, at least he only attacks us on the genocide path, showing some actual rationality unlike most of the monsters that came before. However, it's worth noting that Sans only displays such pacifism because of the promise he made to Toriel. Claiming that we'd be dead where we stand had she not done that, it's clear that Sans is just as dangerous and merciless as any other monster we've come across.
First off, ignoring the fact that not every monster attacked you first. You can only get those conversations with Sans if you went on neutral and pacifist and didn't kill Papyrus. Not only that, why should we take into account that Sans would have attacked us if we didn't make a promise to Toriel? He didn't though. He only attacked us on genocide, so why does it matter? Also, it feels like this was this whole video, to be honest with you. Basically, they would have been unjustified if something else happened. Luckily, this video is almost over.
Our last encounter is with Asgore and Flowey. Now, before I go any further, just remember I'm arguing from a certain perspective here. It's important to remember that there's many different ways of interpreting Undertale, and that this is just one of them. My personal preference is actually a lot different from what I've been saying. You can watch my previous videos, such as the one defending King Asgore, to see what my actual headcanon is. Regardless, I still think you're completely justified if you choose to kill Asgore as well. Asgore declares war on humanity. That explains why all the random monsters have been attacking you. Of course, it was out of desperation and dismay, but do two wrongs really make a right? Secondly, he's responsible for the deaths of 6 innocent humans. It's unclear what happened to them. Maybe Asgore was directly or indirectly involved. But whatever happened, they died because Asgore demanded the deaths of all humans who fell underground, for the sake of obtaining their souls to break the barrier. While Asgore wanted what was best, he's still a murderer of at least 6 people. Perhaps he deserves a taste of his own medicine.
So basically, every point in this video is basically null and void ever since you killed the first monster, because by this logic, every monster would have just been giving you a taste of your own medicine then. Yay.
We come to Flowey. Soulless and hateful, Flowey thrives off destruction and death. I'm going to treat Flowey as something separate from Asriel, as clearly without his soul, Asriel has lost all sense of personality and empathy. Flowey therefore is a sick, twisted murderer. Were Sans to judge him, his karmic retribution levels would be through the roof. The human isn't omniscient like the player is, and therefore has no reason to think that Flowey is in any way redeemable. Killing him is absolutely justified, particularly seeing how had Toriel not intervened at the very beginning of the game, we'd be dead right now. It's as if we can't really win. On the pacifist run, everyone attacks us for no reason. On the genocide path, we're made out to be the most evil being of all. There's no reason the human would have the knowledge we have as players. And were we in their situation, it doesn't seem that absurd to me to suggest it's fair to retaliate to the monsters attempting to kill us with an equal level of force.
And your last point went on about how Frisk isn't omniscient. Even though most of your points basically relied on Frisk knowing what happened on pacifist or neutral, which we have no good reason to believe that Frisk would have been on pacifist or neutral before the genocide route. And given the fact that's all I want to cover, let's move on to final thoughts. Alright, for those of you beyond the screen, I think it's important to note that this video is over 7 years old. Underlab may very well not stand by these points anymore, or his content could be drastically different from this video. And I mainly did this video because I wanted to do an Undertale style video, so all the points in this video may have not been the best. But either way, I still have some genuine problems with this video that I want to say. First off, the lack of focus on genocide. Throughout this entire video, you have brought up neutral and pacifist instead of the genocide route. Which, if you just brought up neutral and pacifist in some points, I wouldn't have an issue with, but you are completely placing the context of genocide with the context of neutral and pacifist. Also, you are very inconsistent in what Frisk does and doesn't know. Like for example, your last point about Flowey implied that they wouldn't know what happened on pacifist, and yet for some reason, both your Sans and Alfie's points hinged on Frisk going on the pacifist route. I don't really watch these type of videos, but just from this video alone, I would just say make some ground rules so that way I'm not questioning why you didn't bring up certain things or why you did, and only bring up context when it's relevant and it's in accordance to said rules. With that, I am done judging you. I know how much you players like your overdramatic ending, but there's no ending. Your PC just crashes. Baby.